Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3 1 2 3. So I'm just doing a little mic check, making sure you guys can hear me here. I'm trying to adjust some of my levels on my audio. It's been a little bit hot, so if I'm too low or too loud, just let me know here. So, well, good afternoon, everybody. Ken Johnson here with you, and I'm doing another little update on the current winter storm across the country here. We're doing this on YouTube, Facebook, and on TikTok here this afternoon. And you may ask me, why in the world is Ken talking about stuff that's not even impacting areas? Well, let me let the people know here first that may not know who I am. My name is Ken Johnson, and I am the chief meteorologist at a TV station in Wichita Falls, Texas. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been at that station for over 15 years, and I've been following weather for over 20 years too. So, but these days we just don't do TV by itself. We also do, digital stuff, and you've got to be on all platforms, and you've just about got to be covering weather everywhere, no matter what it is. So let's see here. We've got somebody says, my son is driving back to base in Kansas and the roads are so bad. I know I don't advise anybody up there in Kansas to be driving at all today. So, but let me first start by looking at, well, hold on just a second before we get to that. I need to get a screen share going here. So let's first start by taking a look at the severe weather aspects of things, because we do got a little localized mini tornado event taking place here in the Magnolia State and back into Louisiana. Honestly, this system here is probably a little more intense than was originally forecasted, but we were starting to look at some of the parameters started getting a little more favorable for it here as we got into the last couple of days here. And currently there's tornado warnings in effect for parts of northwest Mississippi, along the Mississippi River there, all the way back in the northeastern parts of Louisiana. And what you really got to watch out for, now you've got two modes of weather here we're watching. Number one would be these storms in the line, and those storms in the line, mostly wind producers, but from time to time, in that line, you're getting some spin ups that are taking place too. And something probably a little more concerning than that would be these little supercells that are developing out ahead of that line now. If we've been able to see a little more instability creep into the picture, and we've gotten a couple supercells. There's one down there just northwest of Yazoo City. It currently does not have a tornado warning for it. We'll have to watch that. There's some other little cells near Satartia, Mississippi. And then we got some other little cells up north of Canton, and you can see the little kidney bean shaped of these kind of along the Pearl River there, northeast of Ridgeland too. And then we can kind of back this out. There's some cells in southeast Mississippi, but those are not the ones we have to worry about as much. But we've also got these cells again in the line back to the west. Tornado warnings up there north of Monroe. Tornado warnings for Bastrop and Bonita. Louisiana, you got them up there towards Arkansas City, and then you got these over here towards Indianola and Inverness, Isola, and Belzoni. I can still remember these from my time when I was a meteorologist there at WABT in Jackson. So, but we can look at these storms here, and we've had some histories of some tornadoes back in Louisiana. But if you would take a look here, I'm kind of focused in on this area toward Isola. And you can see some little areas of what looks like fairly weak rotation. I see a couple of them. Number one would be this area near Isola. I think that is Highway 3 there, if I'm not mistaken. The first tornado I ever chased in my entire career was kind of over in this area. And it was in January, believe it or not. It was big EF3 and a big old stovepipe there in the middle of the night. About drove right into it. It's back before I really even knew what I was doing much. But anyway, go down to the south. There's also some little weak rotation areas here, kind of down towards Isola, just kind of southwest of you, kind of west-northwest of Belzoni. This is well north of Rolling Fork, by the way, and Silver City and Yazoo City. And then you got this other little area of weak rotation over here near Inverness. Now, judging on the radar picture, what I'm seeing right now, this is not producing a tornado. but you have to watch these cells because the atmosphere is spinning some over this way, so you have to watch it. We're going to go down here into Yazoo County, and this storm just west of Yazoo City is rotating a little bit. No warning on that yet. This storm should stay just north of Yazoo City. No, Yazoo City was impacted by a tornado years ago, but this should stay just north of Yazoo City and kind of head up towards Eden and kind of the northern part of Yazoo County. I wouldn't be surprised to see a warning come out for that. We can look down to the south, and the storms down to the south are not as intense. They're not as what we call deep. They're not as organized, and they're not rotating yet. But again, this storm up near northwest of Yazoo City is growing, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a tornado warning come out on it northwest of Yazoo City. So keep an eye on that. But again, these storms where the tornado warnings are in effect up to the north, not showing a lot of rotation at this time, but a little bit. And a spin up could certainly happen at just about any time with those. But watch that one down towards Yazoo City, and that one kind of southwest of Yazoo City. Those are growing, and you have to watch out for those storms right out ahead of these lines because they can really, really spin up quickly. As far as the line itself, you got some severe thunderstorm warnings up here just southwest of Memphis towards Tunica. Strong gusty winds anywhere in this line of thunderstorms here this afternoon along the Mississippi River down towards Lake Village, Arkansas. And you got these tornado warnings back into Bastrop, those areas. We can kind of take a look at the rotation. And when you got them in the line like this, oftentimes the rotation is pretty brief. And, it isn't as intense as what you get with those supercells out ahead. So brief spin ups with the line as it moves eastward. And if you live over in Mississippi here, this line of thunderstorms should be crossing the river in the next couple of hours. I think it would be to Jackson probably around maybe 6 or 7 this evening here. And again, main threat, I know my mom and dad have been asking me about it, but the main threat with that line of thunderstorms would be a strong wind gust and a chance for a couple spin ups. And then you got a chance for the stronger tornadoes that could perhaps develop with those supercells developing out ahead of the line. And that's mostly kind of over the southwestern part of the Delta of Mississippi and kind of moving towards northwest and north central Mississippi. We'll see if any supercells can get going down to the southwest, but so far those storms have not developed into too much of anything to worry about. I'm also watching this little cell, just north of the Alexandria area, and I'll change my view here down to Fort Polk, and we can take a look here at these thunderstorms. And these are little supercells too that have developed out ahead of the line. Now I do expect the line to catch up with these storms. And the severe weather parameters are not quite as favorable down here for tornadoes, but there is some rotation with these storms, and we'll have to watch that as they could track up towards Vicksburg in the next hour or so. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully the line will catch up with those before that happens, so we won't have to worry as much about strong tornadoes with those storms as they make their way off to the north and the northeast. So I'll be watching the Magnolia State, eastern Louisiana here over the next several hours to kind of see what's going on. In addition to that, of course, we got the blizzard that's taking place. Let's kind of talk about it a little bit here this afternoon, and I'm also going to give you a quick update on our weather here for later on this week. Still a lot of uncertainties with that. So I'm in on the radar site out of Norman. Let's put this in, see what's going on. It looks like there might be some snow flurries or little snow showers on the backside of the big storm system around Oklahoma City. This is probably not going to be enough to make a difference. Maybe a dusting at most, but I wouldn't expect much in the way of accumulations there. We can kind of go up to the north here and look. This is where the problem areas have been and will remain. Is up here across Kansas. And if we take a look here at this particular radar from out of Wichita, Kansas, you still got these pretty good bands of snow on the backside of the storm. I don't think that there's going to be a large accumulation in Wichita, Kansas from these bands here. They look like they're fairly narrow. And in general, if you look off to the south, you can still see snow showers in the backside of that there too. And we can go back into Wichita, but Wichita, you're just kind of on the wrong side of this to see big snowfall accumulations. With that said, the roads are still a mess up there. We can take a look at Kansas City, Missouri. This is where a lot of the worst of the weather has been. And it is snowing heavily now. And this is the northwest side of that storm there with heavy snow bands over Kansas City and to the north. And this is wind-driven snow. You're talking about blizzard conditions across all of northern Missouri now and back in the northeastern parts of Kansas. The snow is beginning to taper off a little bit back here into Kansas some. And as the storm continues to pull away, you'll continue to see that happen. Looks like lighter snow and beginning to wind up there in Salina and Concordia, but still snowing heavily this afternoon in places like Topeka and Manhattan. But as the storm continues to push away, the snow will gradually taper off there in northeastern Kansas and probably this evening over there in the Kansas City area. Let's go a little bit further off to the east, and we've got winter weather also taking place. This is where a big mess has developed this afternoon here, is over into the southern parts of Illinois and over into Indiana. Here's your freezing rain event here, just north of Paducah. And you're seeing freezing rain south of St. Louis, Marion, parts of Illinois here, Mount Vernon, probably some sleet. You get closer to the snow line here and you get sleet that mixes in with that freezing rain. Then you jump north of there and you get the heavier snow bands. And these heavier snow bands will continue to move east this afternoon. And if you take a look here, still seeing some decent freezing rain. There's southern parts of Illinois. Now over into Indiana, the storm system is just now starting to get into your area here pretty good. And when we take a look at some of the radar sites out of that, we can take a look and see what's going on here. Looks like a widespread freezing rain over there in the northern parts of Kentucky here. And this would include places like Owensboro there, Hardinsburg, Hartford, these areas. You get down to Bowling Green, and it's kind of the transition zone in there, but a pretty significant ice storm is taking place there in on Kentucky, south and southwest of Louisville. And this is also kind of heavy sleet there in the southern parts of Illinois, Indiana. And then you get up to the north there and you get up into Indianapolis and some heavy bands of snow moving through there. And this heavy snow will, continue to move eastward over into Ohio and eventually over into parts of West Virginia and those areas later on tonight. So big winter storm up there. Roads are a mess. It is awful there at this point in time. So terrible, terrible weather conditions over that way. So that's what we got going on with this. We can go back down here and take a look at the severe weather aspects of things. One thing that I don't like about this radar system that I'm using, this is called GR Level 2. And the one thing that I don't like about it is you have to click on these sites to get it to show up for these particular areas here. So, all right, let's go back over to get rid of our winter mosaic there. And still no tornado warnings for this storm, but there's still some little supercells here north and west of Yazoo City. Keep an eye on those. That's kind of on the border of where all the good tornado parameters are. The good tornado parameters are kind of along the river there and kind of over southwest Mississippi. But southwest Mississippi, you do see these little cells that are trying to pop up, but they're not very deep. And to be deep, they got to extend more throughout the atmosphere. So a lot of times these things are fairly shallow and they don't develop into anything you have to really worry about. But I'll keep an eye on that. They're kind of a little displaced from the main, what we call upper dynamics. And that's probably why those are not taking off there much. So let's check out this tornado warning here south of Greenwood one more time before we move on to other things. And, I just don't see a lot of rotation there. There's a little bit there southeast of Isola, but, in general, I'm not too worried at this point in time. There may be some there west of Morgan City, but that's a little bit unclear at this point in time. And you still see a little rotation on this cell north of Yazoo City, but it hasn't taken off yet. And a little bit there west of Shatarsha. You can look at the reflectivity. And you do got a little small low top supercell trying to develop there and also up north of Canton, Mississippi. So keep an eye on those. And then that line will be into central Mississippi over the next few hours there. So that is what we have going on here. Oh, look at my hair. I got that cap hair going on. I haven't gotten my shower yet today, so I'm just putting that ball cap on here. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, so where is Murray at? Somebody says, can you do Murray? My friend lives there. Murray. Where is Murray at? Tell me what state that is in. What's up, LM? Looks like my camera here, my phone camera is about to die. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing my camera off of my web camera off of my iPhone. So looks like it's about to die here. So Gavin, just tell me where Murray is so I can do an update for you on that. So looks like we got 64 people. And I want to remind you guys, during the week, usually after 9, around 9:30, we do Weather After Dark. That's a fun weather thing to be a part of. So make sure you be willing to look out for that. You got to follow my pages for all that so you'll know when we do it. We're going to try to do a Weather After Dark tonight, probably around 8 or 8:30 to talk about weather and what's going on here too. So, well, Gavin, I'm sorry, man. I was hoping that you would, that you were still on. Maybe you jumped off that so I could do, an update for you there. But looks like you might be off here for now. So I do apologize for that. I didn't see it. I was busy looking at my radar and whatnot. So, all right. So if anybody does see what we're looking for here in Wichita Falls, Katie, I'm actually about to build some graphics to show what might happen later in the week. There's a couple scenarios. Okay. Um, it's still it's still a ways out there. Okay. I mean, by ways, but we're getting into a time frame when your confidence is increasing. Okay. So we're talking about a possible winter storm that's going to impact Texas and maybe Oklahoma and parts of the Mid-South, maybe Thursday into Friday of next week. I'm confident that there's going to be a storm, but what I'm not confident in is the exact track that storm is going to take. Because if that storm goes a little further to the east, then the main precipitation would stay to the east, and that's where the bulk of the winter weather would be. It would be over there into East Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana. Okay. If it goes a little bit further to the west, then that pushes that heavier snow chance back to the northwest, and that would include the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It would include Bowie, Nocona, Duncan, Waurika, Wichita Falls, all of us. So confident a storm's going to develop. Not confident in the track just yet. Not confident in how much we might get. So you're going to see lots of posts on social media about how much we're going to get. And you've got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt, because the models are going to crank out more precipitation and heavier snow amounts than probably what is going to actually fall. So I'm not ready to make a call on that just yet. So, Sheila, I should get more confident tomorrow, I would think. Tomorrow into Tuesday, especially, maybe tonight. But with that said, even with a little slight shift here or there is going to make all the difference in the world, because, you can be in an area that gets no snow versus an area that gets 5 inches versus an area that gets 10 inches. I'm not saying there'd be that much. I'm just saying that, with snow events, that's what you get. And, that's why there's always the opportunity for, lots of changes and in the forecast. And that's why you don't see us really just going all gung ho for it. So the wind should let up a little bit later on tonight into tomorrow. Well, I think by tomorrow morning, it should let up some. It's brutal out there today, and that wind is making it awful cold. So, Katie wants to know, can this happen on Friday night and be gone by Sunday night? I need for the kids to go back to school. I thought they go back to school. I thought they go back to school next week. No, it would probably be as of right now, you're looking at a Thursday and a Friday thing. That's what you're looking at. So, but way too early to be making a call on whether you should cancel school or not. And I'm sure if we start getting closer to the time that that occurs, I'll start hearing from, some of the school officials, and I'll start hearing from, of course, you hear my dog barking in the background there. I'll start hearing from, the Midwestern state people, that kind of stuff. So we'll know more later on this week. Now ready to jump on that. No first alert weather days just yet. So, all right. Well, that's all I got for right now. I'm going to jump off